This week, the Lake Havasu Songwriters Festival 2017 is getting underway, and we're going to tell you how you can get involved. Drake talks to Aaron Lawson about the upcoming International Tabletop Day in Lake Havasu City. We're going to catch you up on the latest episodes of Agents of Hydra. The trailer for Marvel's latest TV outing, Cloak and Dagger, has dropped, and so has the new Star Wars trailer. So, of course, we're going to talk about those. And our CW shows are coming back next week, so we may do a quick recap about where all those different shows are. All this and more on this week's Havageek Cast. It's Thursday, April 20th. I'm Mike Woodard. Him is Drake Finney. Drake, man, we've got an interview. You are going to be talking in just a few minutes with Aaron Lawson, and from what I understand, this is the guy who's going to take over for you for International Tabletop Day.
Yeah, I do. I have to take the International Order of the Rainbow for Girls, the Fidelity Assembly here in Havasu, which all of my girls are members of. They've got homecoming down in Glendale. So regretfully, I'm going to have to miss this International Tabletop for the first time in 2 years. But Aaron Lawson, who is, I guess you would say, kind of the head, because a lot of them work to help make sure the Lake Havasu board gaming group fires off and runs perfectly. He stepped forward and he grabbed the ball out of my hands, and he has run for a touchdown with it, in my opinion.
Well, we're grateful to him for it. So let's take a second and talk to Aaron.
All right, so it's Drake here with Aaron Lawson, the man, the myth, the legend, the one that pulled the full 25 hours back at Extra Life, one of two, and surprisingly, he's still awake at 9 o'clock in the morning. Aaron, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for that intro. It's quite kind of you.
Well, you know, I mean, you were impressive. I mean, I admit, folks, at 3 o'clock in the morning, I was leaning back playing Castle Panic, and I was fading out, and you went the whole time, and even beyond the time, because you did some stuff afterwards. But
yeah, I gotta admit, it was a little bit of a spirit quest. I may have not been on this plane the whole time.
Well, what we're here to talk to you folks today about is International Tabletop Day, which is happening April 29th. And I've got to thank you. I've helped run the last two. I've gotten called out of town. You took this bull by the horns, and you have ran with it and taken it from what I did and beyond, it sounds like. So why don't you tell people what's going to happen on the 29th?
Well, we have a peach of an event scheduled for the 29th from 10 a.m. to midnight. We will be gaming it up at Social Bean, Lake Havasu, in the shops. It's going to be a really great time. Games for 14 hours, delicious drinks and foods and surprises. I mean, you can't beat that.
Now, I know in the event we held at Extra Life, that was a fundraiser, so we were actually raising money for charity. Now, the International Tabletop Day, they just focus on getting people introduced to gaming. And
right.
So you're going to have a few demo tables? Are you going to be taking people under your wing? You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely Board Game Awareness Day, and just Game Awareness Day in general. We'll have tons of games from mild to wild available. We're going to have our core group of gamers there, some good friends from the area coming in, and I mean, by all means, if you've never played a game before and you want to, or if you played a little bit but you want to see what we're about and see what the hobby's about, by all means come out. We have something for everybody.
And that's one thing I want to talk to you about also. The term gamer in general. Now, back when you and I were kids, back in the 80s and 90s, gamer was termed as that kid that lived in mom and dad's basement, never came out, you know, wore the wizard's hat. Now, we still do that. I won't deny it. We do that every once in a while.
Yeah.
But gamer's a more broader term now, because it's not just Dungeons and Dragons or Monopoly. We've got more genres of games than you can shake a stick at.
Oh yeah, I mean the hobby itself has just expanded on top of itself over and over again. I mean, you have so many different genres and so many themes coming into the works. You know, I myself have been board gaming pretty solid for about 3 years now. I went over to a friend's house. He's my sensei, if you will, David from Blythe. He runs the Mothership Gaming Group out there, and that's my roots, where I began my journey. And he invited me over, and we played a game of what was it called? Dominant Species.
Okay.
And That's a pretty meaty game. I was a little intimidated at first. I had a little bit of the headaches just trying to see, okay, we got this going on here and a completely different thing going on here, but I ended up somehow miraculously winning that game, and it's never been the same since. And but no, I mean there's so much different types of games out there, and the hobby itself is so expansive. It's really hard to.
Yeah, it's hard to pigeon down, but they're going to have a huge selection for you to go. They've got deck builders if you enjoy more card-based games. Like I said, the thematic games. I know the first time you and I ever played together, we were playing the others when it came out.
Oh, yeah.
And that was just an absolute just brain melt after the first few moves. So you've got games like that. I'm sure you've got classics like Dead of Winter will probably be at the table. Yeah. I know you guys broke out Love Letters and multiple versions of Love Letters as well. And these are games that can be played anywhere from ages 10, 8, 9, 10, all the way till, you're a walking zombie yourself.
Oh, yeah.
So, there's lots of things out there. And like I said, they're going to have a whole plethora of games for you to try. Now, where can they find you online if they want to know what the gaming group in Havasu is doing?
Well, we got a group on Facebook. You could go to facebook.com/Lake Havasu Gaming, and feel free to give us an ad, and you'll be kept in the loop when we do our weekly events, our special. Sometimes we get together and we'll play Twilight Imperium for a couple days, and because that game takes forever.
Well, and that's the thing too that you're also going to learn, folks, is they're going to have different times. If you've only got an hour to stop in or 2 hours, they're going to have games that you can sit down and play that quickly. There's stuff that you can learn in 15 minutes and be full bore up and running and going. But if you've got all day to sit, there are some more, House on Betrayal Hill is one I'm thinking of, and stuff like that you can really sink yourself into and just get lost. So gaming has gone far up and beyond what it used to be. And I encourage you, go on down to Social Bean. It's Saturday, right? Saturday, April 29th, from 10 to midnight. Now, that means Dave's going to stay open a little bit later, and I got to tell you, you said you're right about the food, because I know in Extra Life, he had that soup that we all just fell in love with.
Italian wedding, if I'm
I think that's what it was called, and I kept getting remarried every time until he finally ran out. That stuff was great.
Yeah, and he said he's going to do some special stuff for us, so it's going to be exciting. But no, I mean, there's going to be tons of games available. Even if you have 20 minutes you're willing to spare, we could sit down and play a game with you, and you're going to like it.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, folks, if you want to learn a game, definitely there's going to be a couple gentlemen there. I know Ray's going to be there, yourself, Curtis. If you want to know the ins and outs of games, I would suggest you sit down with these gentlemen. They can teach you a game and put it in terms you can understand faster than a rule book. And I'll be honest, because right now you've taught me a game, Curtis taught me a game, Ray's got an instruction booklet he's reading for me. I don't think I've read a rule set in a while, but by all means, this is where you're going to find out that gaming's gone beyond Yahtzee, Monopoly, which are classics, which are still on hand because Dave's got those in the store. But there's a lot more available for you. So, Aaron, I want to thank you for coming in. Like we said, you can find them at Facebook/Lake Havasu Gaming. Lake Havasu Board Gaming also, I think.
Yep, that's it.
And also, if you're ever around Starbucks on a Saturday night, you can peek in and see them there. They'll always welcome you with open arms. So now I'm going to do that weird thing where I kick it back to myself.
There you have it. And of course, stay tuned to the Havageek Cast, and we'll give you even more details on International Tabletop Day as we have them. The Lake Havasu Songwriters Festival, the 2017 version, is on the horizon. 2016 was a raging success. Drake, what can we expect for 2017, man?
2017, Nancy already has hit the ground running. She's teamed up with the Only Orchids crew as well, officially, so they could really get this one off the ground running and just do what they do best, which is draw awareness through music and through these songwriters to help out the arts and the musics in the schools. Now, if you go to their website, www.artslakehavasu.com, they already have the applications up for you or the duet, because remember, they'll accept either or. You can be a solo or you can be a duet as a songwriter. And it's up there. You can apply now. Application fees for solos is only $35. For duets, it's $50. A little discount to encourage the people that want to have the duet together. There are some new components, I should say. And the deadline is June 1st for your application. So there's still plenty of time to sit down, work on something original and get it out there. But please remember, do look at the new guidelines, I guess you would say. Like, for example, you have to be a resident of Arizona this year. Sorry for our California visitors and for our Nevada ones, but I think that's because that's going to build into something bigger in these next few years. I won't say anything concrete yet, but I know there's a bigger vision. Duets can perform, of course, as one songwriter. Both have to be residents. There will only be 12 finalists, though, that will move onto the festival. That will be September 15th. And I do believe it's, again, going to be at the Refuge, where it's going to be an all-night event. So this is one where we're getting it out to you with plenty of time. So if you're listening and you think this might be what you want to give a stab at, what you want to give a little jump to, go ahead and go for it. I can tell you right now, on the Havageek Cast side and the Havasu Online TV side, we're talking to last year's performer, Kevin Jackson, who came and did the interview with us. He might be teaming us up with us during the podcast to kind of give that performer's aspect of, not so much critiquing, but talking about the different styles and different things we're seeing that, I can't carry a tune in a bucket, but this man knows more about music than I'll ever know. So I definitely want to get him in and get his opinion and his fire for what these people are bringing to the table.
Oh, super cool, man. So if you're a resident of Arizona anywhere, in other words, if you're down in like Phoenix or Scottsdale, of course, Kingman, Flagstaff, that kind of thing, you can get involved, but unfortunately our California and Nevada listeners are out.
Well, but here's the thing. If you have a residence in both locations, like we know a lot of our Californians do, it's just where you're resident. So, I would say talk to Nancy if you have a question, but it's right there on the website. I just double-checked both links. They're up. They're functioning. It's, PDF, download it, and then get it into Nancy. Her email's right there. If you're a songwriter and you're holding back for any reason, I got to tell you, she's got it lined up to make it the easiest transition for you so you can focus on your song.
Cool. What's that website address one more time?
Website address is www.artslakehavasu, all one word, .com. Or you can go to Google and just type in Songwriters Festival 2017 Lake Havasu. It'll pop up, #1 search bar. All right, check that.
Very cool. Does it look like we're going to be able to stream any of the competition on the Havageek Cast page?
Actually, yes, we're going to be able to do kind of the behind the scenes like we did before when they were auditioning. And then already Nancy and I are in talks that we will have, and not just an off the side view, we're going to shoot for straight up, right in the center, right in all the action. So we're going to have the full stream as long as we can. I even went and bought a hotspot in case I can't get a feed at the Refuge. So as far as my side is, yes, we'll be broadcasting live.
Very, very cool. All right, Agents of Hydra, or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they are heavily into the back half of this particular season. Matter of fact, there's only a few episodes to go, and things look dire for those agents we love. Well, let's see, because Drake has not seen the latest episode. He did not see this week's episode. So I do want to talk about it, but we're going to have to go kind of seriously non-spoilery on it, which is not going to be a problem. But in order to set up what I want to talk about, just to recap, this is the arc labeled LMD, which stands for Life Model Decoy, which really doesn't have a whole lot to do with the LMDs, as it turns out. Just our girl who's made herself Madam Hydra in the virtual world that was created. She's the only LMD we really have to worry about. But they had to call the arc something. Anyway, here's what's happened. We've got this virtual world. Daisy and Emma have gone in to pull everybody else out. Trouble is, they didn't count on how much control, shall we say, Ada has over the virtual world, which is complete. In this world, in this alternate universe, so to speak, Ada is a goddess. But she's stuck to her programming. Every single one of our agents, she's picked out a regret and fixed it. Trouble is, she's not a good person. None of this is. I'm not even doing the situation justice. She's fixed
You're trying so hard not to ruin it for me.
Well, the thing is, she's fixed all of these regrets in the worst possible way. And, Okay. I'll explain why I'm tiptoeing around in a second, but to give you an example of what we're talking about, let's talk about May. May's biggest regret was killing the little girl.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the virtual world, matter of fact, one of the first things we saw in the virtual world was May finding a way to save the girl. Now, the trouble is, a few months later, this same little girl in a public school, her powers flare up and kills hundreds of people. And this twists May to the breaking point. She's more May than, in the virtual world than she was ever. And by closing off her emotions and just being mean May. So now the trouble is that has repercussions that expand outward. What happened is Ada, taking over as Madam Hydra, the director of Hydra, she uses this to gain political control in America and essentially replaces S.H.I.E.L.D. with Hydra in the interest of keeping us all safe from the Inhuman threat. And all of that, and that being the overhaul situation that all our agents are in. The bottom line being each one of our agents has something that Ada has fixed for them, but it hasn't made their lives better in any way, shape, or form. Now, we've learned that Daisy was an agent of Hydra. Ward is alive, and generally being a good guy. Considering that he didn't have to betray anybody, he hasn't betrayed anybody. And the Daisy in the virtual world, which was replaced by our Daisy, they hooked up, which horrifies our Daisy. Because when she went into the virtual world, she took virtual Daisy's place. One of the things that we find out is that the basic personality traits of each one of our agents can be changed by Ada in the virtual world based on what she changes about their lives. One sentence spoken can change your life. This is a line from the latest episode. Will you marry me? Changes everything. So the simplest thing can make you an entirely different person. And Fitz is definitely an entirely different person in the virtual world. And in this latest episode, we're going to find out why. What else can I talk about? The bottom line is S.H.I.E.L.D. is become so interesting this season, and they did it in a way that I didn't expect. Because you always hear me crying about angst on the show. I hate it when my shows go all angsty for drama's sake. And S.H.I.E.L.D. has gotten nothing but angst going on. But I don't mind it. It's working out. Part of it is I know it's not going to last. You know what I mean? They're not going to get trapped forever in this virtual world. I know they're going to fix it. It's kind of like the character in the show whose name is the actual title of the show never gets killed, no matter how much jeopardy they may find themselves in. So you don't worry about it. No matter how bad off they are, they're not going to die, so you don't sweat that. So I'm not sweating the guys not making it out of the virtual world. It's a matter of how is it going to happen and how much heartache are they going to have to go through in order to make it happen. So all in all, loving S.H.I.E.L.D. right now.
Okay, but I want to get some speculation on you. I want you to go on a limb here, because we know Marvel Cinematic Universe and Marvel TV so intertwined. Because this is a great story arc, mind you. I'm really enjoying it too. Why do you think we're taking it this direction, as we know the movies are going to spiral in another one, I guess you would say?
Well, the thing is, everything that's happening on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. right now has absolutely zero to do with the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
As I said, they're spiraling in two different directions, and they've kind of not done that. They've always had them at least touch a little bit.
Yeah. So it's nothing to sweat. There's nothing to speculate about. At some point, the agents are going to return and just pick up, dust themselves off and carry forward. And literally, there's no way to know what forward is going to be right now, and there's no use guessing. At some point, they're going to have to take Ada down. And deal with the repercussions of dropping off of the radar for however long they're in the virtual world. So as far as the cinematic universe goes, it's about to go cosmic anyway.
Right.
Our heroes are leaving Earth. So, you're right that I wouldn't call it a spiral as much as a direct separation.
Well, I'll tell you a little conversation I had with someone that made me go, I never thought about that the other day. And they brought up that we never knew technically what happened to Ultron's conscience, and they always said that surprised he never backed up his conscience because he was just annihilated at the end of the movie. And someone said, what if in this virtual reality we somehow accidentally re-unlock Ultron? And I went, well, that would give a big baddie here on Earth while our heroes are away. Your thoughts on that?
I guess so. Okay, as a 40-year-old comic book reader, Ultron always comes back. It's just a matter of time, So the idea of him coming back, it falls under the category of oh sure. The odds of them taking Ultron to the television universe, I got to think that's just slim to none. But that being said, what's his face who voiced Ultron? I'm not pulling up his name in my brain right now. You know who I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, and I'm thinking about it right now.
He's on a TV show of his own right now, Blacklist. And so he's already working in television. It's not a matter of the actor who embodies the evil villain that we're talking about is too good for TV.
Right, it's James Spader.
James Spader, yes. Thank you. So, sure. I imagine if they wanted to throw enough money at James, but he is a pretty high-ticket item. So I just don't see him making the move over to S.H.I.E.L.D. But you're right.
Yeah, like I said,
perfect
for my conversation, it was that's an interesting take. I could possibly see it.
Yeah, it's an interesting setup. So, who knows? I really think, though, that everything in the virtual world is sort of gearing up to peak and be done with by the end of the season. That's not to say that there's not going to be repercussions leading into next season. And in the comic books, at least, S.H.I.E.L.D. grows to really rely on the LMDs. So
yes, I do.
Somebody somewhere, could easily make the decision there in the TV universe that, okay, well, this is how we're going to make sure that they don't do this again, and we'll start using them. But I don't know, too soon to say. But it is an interesting idea.
But it is one for all the people that. Okay, I was just going to say it's definitely for the people that have always kind of looked at S.H.I.E.L.D. and looked down on it. This is the season you want to watch. This is the excellent season.
Indeed. Okay, let's talk trailers. 2 big ones have hit. Now, my geek cred is a little bit at risk because the Star Wars trailer has been out for about a week now, and I have yet to put my eyeballs on it. But Drake, you've seen this bad boy. Talk to me, man.
I've seen it, and the trailer, and a couple of people have done it, actually does line up to have the same feel as the trailer did for Force Awakens in how they presented it. And without going into great big details of it, I can tell you right now, this has the same Star Wars feel that we've always had with that second movie in a trilogy that they put forward. This is the one where your heroes are in jeopardy, nothing's guaranteed, and what was usually the Empire, now is the First Order, is definitely the more dominant force, at least from the feel I got. Just a quick rehash. This one we do see Rey getting a little bit of training from Luke on the mountainside, and some very similar lines that almost could be thrown back to Yoda-ish, which some people have said that they see a figure on the mountain that could be Yoda, from a Pandoff difference. It's so far, it could be anything. It could be a tree. I mean, how long did they talk about the supposed gravestone for the first one? So we see that Rey is being allowed to tap into the Force. It doesn't hint that she's a Kenobi yet. It doesn't hint that she's a Skywalker. It just shows she has some kind of attunement to it. The other thing we see is that the Resistance, it starts to get smacked around pretty heavily. Very similar to almost the Hoth battle, where the Resistance starts getting hit We don't know if it's Kylo Ren that's coming through or Captain Phasm because of the amount of smoke, but it is one of the traditional Imperial marches into the base where they are pretty much dominating. And of course, you had an amazing, over the land battle between the Falcon and TIE fighters as well as it. The mysterious figure that we all thought was Luke with the mechanical hand that kneeled next to R2-D2 that we never saw in the first one, that clip is shown in a little more entirety, but again, head still covered. We don't know if that's Luke looking at whatever the burning building is that happened. It possibly could be the base, but R2 is active, and we don't see the metal hand. We just see the person kneeling to it. It looks like there's more discovery happening in this one because of the fact that Rey is talking in the trailer about seeing a good side, seeing a dark side. And a lot of the ones that know Star Wars canon have always talked about the gray Jedi that are have truly found a balance between the two, that dip into both but aren't committed highly to one or the other. We see brief glimpse of Kylo Ren. He's got a scar, obviously, from the battle, very reminiscent to Anakin's from Star Wars, as well as the only clip we get of Finn is him in a healing chamber, because everyone remembers he got pretty carved up by Kylo Ren at the end of the first one. And then the rest of the trailer, for almost until the end, goes into an amazing looking space battle. I mean, we're talking, it's just out of control, tons of ships. Your jaw drops. I watched that part of the trailer 4 or 5 times. They pan out to Luke, of course, at the Cave of the Mouth, and the line that has everyone on pins and needles from it is he says, it's time for the Jedi to end. So question is, what does he mean by that? And that's where they cut it out and go to December 2017. So
yeah.
So there's a game that Disney is playing with Star Wars, and I think this is a firm marketing decision, and probably a good one, all told. But in the same sense that Episode 4, the first Star Wars that we ever saw, the one that made us fall in love with the Star Wars universe, is very much called back to by last year's episode of Star Wars, or the year, I forget when it came out. So they've learned that similarity is appealing to, especially to old geeks like me. So I fully expect what we're going to see is 8 or 9 different versions of that YouTube video where they've got the 2 trailers running side by side to say, ooh, look how similar they are. That's fine. I have no trouble with that at all. And as far as similarity
especially with
goes,
something that was good as it was.
Well, when it comes to similar things, I guess we're gonna see Rey with a training montage. So frankly, I can't wait to see her running through the woods wearing Luke like a backpack.
And they teased at that on the film. That picture's been out for a while. I don't know if he does it, but I would love to see it because they did hint at that, just in photos that they put on Instagram.
Marvel has a new TV show coming. Actually, they've got a couple of new TV shows coming out. Word dropped last week for a show called New Warriors, which is kind of Marvel's version of the Teen Titans, so to speak. And we'll talk more about that as we get a little more information. But the one that we saw that's got me excited was Cloak and Dagger. And Cloak and Dagger have been a Marvel team, a Marvel duo, since the late 70s, early 80s. And their basic deal is 2 teenagers in New York City caught up in the drug scene who are also either... When it started out, they were mutants, and then when the whole mutants versus Inhumans thing happened, it's like, oh, wait, are they Inhumans, actually? But anyway, the bottom line is there was some sort of weird combination of drugs and whatever causes superpowers created these 2 characters, Cloak and Dagger. One of them is of the light, the other one is of the darkness. And there's a ton of stuff on the web. I don't need to go much further into it. There is a ton of stuff on the web about the history of Cloak and Dagger. Just look up the wiki, either on Marvel Comics website or regular Wikipedia. There's a lot for you to read about because it is fairly interesting. There's a lot of history out there. You need to go and check that out once you've seen this trailer, because what they're doing with this TV show is going to be pretty great, in that it looks to be a superhero TV show that isn't so much about the superheroing. This is very much going to be a character piece, and you can tell that from the trailer. The show's going to be on the Freeform network, which is setting itself apart. Its genre is the quote-unquote young adult thing. So very much about the 20-year-olds and the later teenagers. Drake, you saw the trailer, man. What do you think?
First of all, it did surprise me that they went with Freeform, because, like you said, of the audience they were going to. But then when I saw the full trailer and saw that, yeah, we are taking these young teen characters, which I love the fact that they kept them as teens and kind of threw them on there. I'm very interested in seeing where it goes with it on Freeform, because, as you said, with the new Warriors and all of that, we could be opening up a whole nother chapter to the Marvel Universe that, you know, has been successful with ABC, successful with Netflix, successful with the movies. It just seems like Marvel themselves really looks at the audience, much like the writers did when we were kids growing up reading it, sees where they want to go and gets in front of them and gives it to them. You know, you said the special effects, you know, we don't see so much heroing, but it's hinted in the trailer, and we see some really key elements that made me want more. So it wasn't your typical superhero trailer where smash, boom, bam, 30 seconds into it, so I have a full minute of action. You know, this got me looking, going, this is one I can get into, and I know I'll be watching episode 5, 6, 7, and still getting more as it goes. I'm really looking forward to it. It looks like they're going to do the introduction of these heroes really well. So I'm interested. I've never watched anything on Freeform, and this will be the first thing I do.
Yeah, it's and I agree with you about the introduction to the characters. This isn't going to be one of those situations where you get the origin story in the first episode, and then it's just like a procedural hospital drama from that point out. You know, okay, this is going to be the conflict of the week. Not going to be like that at all. Really more similar to Legion, I think, and not in the way that Legion was kind of trippy and weird, and you were kind of wondering what was going on. That's not what I mean, but what I hope to see with Cloak and Dagger is a very long, very involved storyline involving these two kids. One of which, Cloak, is a young man on the streets of the city, and Dagger is a young girl who's, of the upper crust. Her family has money, and so how do they meet? What throws the two of them together? And of course, what gives them powers? Every geek. That's a very important aspect of this kind of story, is how did they gain their powers? And you're right, we got a glimpse. They didn't kind of throw them at us. We get a little bit of glimpse of each one of them. So, and of course the regular, Marvel Easter eggs. When you see Cloak there on the roof at the tail end of the trailer, if you look over at the sign on the roof, it's Roxxon, which is it's a corporation. An evil corporation, which we've seen in the movies. We've seen in multiple. We've seen him in S.H.I.E.L.D. We've seen him in, gosh darn it, Haley Atwood.
Agent Carter.
Thank you, Agent Carter. Where's my brain today? So, of course, we're going to get all our good Marvel Easter eggs. There's not going to be any direct connections beyond the fact that it's obvious that it's all happening in the same world. So, Cloak and Dagger on the horizon, being filmed right now. I think 2018. Is when we're going to finally see the show, but they're hitting us with the teasers right now, and I'm all about that. We're running out of time, so we're not going to get into our returning CW shows too deeply, beyond saying every one of them practically landed on some sort of a cliffhanger. And Supergirl, we know that Mon-El's mom, she's not going to walk away from her son. On The Flash, okay, they're going to get married, and Flash has a plan now. So we get to see how that goes horribly wrong. And of course, on Arrow, the team is renewed. It's okay, Team Arrow, everybody, let's go out there and save the day. We don't know what happened to Prometheus. He rode off into the darkness. Ollie's in trouble as the mayor. So what I fully expect to see is Ollie getting kicked out of the mayor's office within a few episodes. But that's as far as I'm willing to speculate. And of course, Legends is on hiatus for a while. which is too bad because I loved that cliffhanger ending.
That was a great cliffhanger ending.
Quick thoughts?
Quick thoughts. Like I said, just be watching the stream on Facebook. We're going to be keeping everybody up to date on all the things that'll be happening locally. Like we said, things are rolling out, and many surprises. So, other than that, like I said, we're running out of time. We'll definitely rehash the CW episodes when we come back next week.
Very good. And of course, you can always find us right here on the Facebook page. It's Facebook.com/Havageek Cast. And we're right there at the top of the timeline. But come back here all week long. Drop by every chance you get, because Drake is always posting trailers and every little nugget of news. Even the stuff we don't talk about on the show, we'll post for you there on our Facebook page. So it's Facebook.com/HavageekCast. Make sure you follow and like and all those things that you're supposed to do with social media. And how do they get in touch, Drake?
They get in touch with us real easy. You can find us at, of course, like you said, the flagship of us, Facebook.com/HavageekCast. You can reach us via email, HavageekCast@gmail.com, or even find us on Twitter, just at HavageekCast, all one word. We're always checking those out and seeing what's happening with our fans and what we can do to help you.
All right. Well, that wraps up the cast for this episode.
Everyone, have a geek week.